movie musicals and why they don't work, I have some thoughts. What's happening? It's Chris Redbeard Videos back with you for another edition of Quick Takes, and I'm actually going to try and keep it quick, so let's get right into it. A few weeks back, I finally had a chance to sit down and watch two movies that I've wanted to watch since they came out. Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story and a movie on Netflix called Tick, Tick, Boom. Two musicals. Watched them in a row. Like right in a row. Bam, bam. Now, just a little background for you in case you didn't know. I don't know if it's ever come up here on the channel, but I love musicals. I do. I haven't really had a chance to talk about them a lot here because I do a lot of rock, I do a lot of metal, or maybe I'll delve into pop every once in a while, but I don't talk about musicals at all. And I was a performer for many, many years until my mid-20s, not just in bands, but in musicals. So it was something that I did. And since then, I've even directed a few shows into my 40s now, and I've watched my kids get heavily into theater. So I have a strong love for this art form. Now with that, judging by the title of this video, you can gather that despite my ardent love for musicals, I'm a little iffy on how they translate to the big screen.
When real life's getting more like fiction each day. Headlines, breadlines blow my mind, and now this deadline, eviction or pay.
See, to me, a well-staged musical is amongst one of the best things you can experience.
More lights to have. You want more lights? Let's get a stage show. Think about the moment that's so close at hand. With the power.
When the singing and the acting and the choreography is very well done, and you have wonderful lighting and great stage and set designs, great costumes and the whole thing, it's truly a remarkable thing to behold.
Past patiently waiting and passionate, smashing every expectation, every action's an act of creation. I'm laughing at the face of casualties and sorrow. For the first time I'm thinking past tomorrow.
But when you try to put it on film, I don't know, a lot of times it falls flat or it doesn't translate well for one reason or another.
Believe like in me, what you will. There is a duty I'm sworn to do. You know nothing of my life. All I did was steal some bread. You know nothing of the world.
It's really hard to understand why, too. There's no obvious answer, it seemed, anyway. Now, I've been watching movie musicals my entire life, and sure, some have been wonderful and stand as some of my very favorite movies of all time.
Where depression's just status quo. Down on Skid Row. Someone show me a way to get out of here. 'Cause I constantly pray I'll get out of here.
Now, I want to stipulate that I'm strictly talking about those musicals that are live action.
Kid, honestly, I could go on and on. I could explain every natural phenomenon. The tide, the grass, the ground. Oh, that was Maui just messing around.
Animated musicals always work for some reason. And if you've made an animated movie musical and it's bad, it's because it's simply a bad movie. And not about whether it's a musical or not. But outside the animated musicals, very few movie musicals throughout my lifetime have made me stand up and take notice or really make me want to watch them over and over again.
I can see why people disagree. So I'm about telling what I know is true. Oh no. See the world I'm from, I bet your heart is gonna feel it too.
But despite that fact, I watch them anyway. Why is that? I still go to see them. Whenever a new one comes out, I'm always like, well, I need to check that out. Even though in the back of my head, that little voice goes, well, you know this is probably gonna suck, right? Doesn't matter. I'm still all amped to go. I'm like, I need to go see this like immediately. I get excited about it. So with all that in mind, it finally happened for me. An explanation. Something as clear as day hit me in the face a few weeks back.
When you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. When you're a jet, if the spit hits the fan, you got brothers around, you're a family man.
Why do we follow leaders who never lead? Why does it take catastrophe to start a revolution if we're so
watching these two movies, Spielberg's West Side Story and Tick, Tick, Boom, it became very clear to me why live action movie musicals do not work, and it's almost too obvious not to notice. But it took one movie in particular to prove it to me.
Have you met my good friend Maria? The craziest girl on the block. You'll know her the minute you see her. She's the one who is in a net of shock.
The reason they don't work is because people do not sing to each other.
And the people trying. I like the island Manhattan. I know you do. Smoke on your pine and put that in.
I know what you're saying. No shit. But hear me out, okay? The reason I never thought that this was the reason is because of that response. No shit. It's so obvious, right? But as a guy who has been a performer and once immersed myself in the Broadway musical lifestyle, I did not see it that way. I would see it on stage and say to myself,
Self? People do this on stage and it works. So that can't be the reason. It can't be because people don't sing at each other, because I do it all the time. It makes perfect sense.
I mostly would chalk it up to those movies just not being very good. A Chorus Line, Jesus Christ Superstar, Godspell, Les Mis, and even more modern movies that weren't staged first, but animated, like the slew of Disney live-action remakes that were having crammed down our throats. That even though they're visually spectacular and some of the performances individually are fantastic, they simply just do not work overall. So I thought, these movies, they're just not good. It's not it's not because musicals don't work. It's because these movies suck. That was my prevailing thought for a long time.
This boy'll need a job. He needs a year in the bank. Okay. It ain't just a question of misunderstood. Deep down inside him, he's no good.
I'm no good. We're no good. We're no good. We're no good.
So why these two movies? What was it about these two movies that brought this fact to light? Let me start out by saying Spielberg's West Side Story and Tick, Tick, Boom are both equally fantastic movies, with Tick, Tick, Boom being possibly one of the most perfect movies I've ever watched.
I told you that I was afraid of intimacy.
I've been telling you how unhappy I am for months.
If you don't have a problem with my problem, maybe the problem's simply codependency. Everyone's unhappy in New York! That's what New York is!
The balance of comedy, drama, emotion without beating me over the head with any of it, on top of the remarkable music and the remarkable performances by everyone in this film, Tick, Tick, Boom is highly recommended and is simply fantastic.
And Max and Jonathan and Carolyn and Carrie. David, Tim, no, Tim was just a guest from
I remember Tim.
Mary, Margaret, Lisa, David, Susan, Stephen, Joe, and Sam. And Elsa, the bill collector's dream who still is on the lam.
Spielberg's West Side Story is almost just as perfect, but it is also the film that showed me the light and the way when it comes to this subject.
Lots of new housing with more space.
That's what they're slamming in our face.
I'll get a terrace apartment.
Better get rid of your accent.
Look, we all trust and love Steven Spielberg at this point. I mean, he's been at it for 45 years now, and has basically never missed. From directing, to producing, to writing, to TV and big screen. He is the New York Yankees of making magic in the realm of film and television. And West Side Story is no different.
Tonight, the world is wild and bright, going mad, shooting sparks into space.
A spectacular movie. There's literally nothing wrong. There is nothing that he could have done better in West Side that would have made me change my opinion on this. The performers were wonderful across the board. Every moment of this movie was perfectly executed. Singing, amazing. Orchestration, perfection. Choreography, exhilarating. And the cinematography was absolutely beautiful. Honestly, might be one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen from that perspective. It was simply gorgeous. So, here's the problem. Here I am enjoying this movie, right? I'm enjoying everything about what's going on, even in the background music. No problems. Until this shit happens.
Drawing a line, so keep your noses hidden. We're hanging aside, this visitors forbidden.
And we ain't kidding.
Here come the Jets, yeah, and we're gonna be.
And bam! It takes me right out of the moment. Right out of the moment. Now, maybe this is a me thing, but I assure you, I'm not one that struggles with suspending my disbelief. I watch Star Wars and Marvel movies and never once say, okay, like that shit can happen.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I'm not that guy. But as unbelievable as all the fantastical shit is, but it's amazing what a typo can do. But as unbelievable as all that fantastical shit is, if Thor started doing this shit to Captain America,
I could do this all day.
I could suspend all the disbelief I want. It's still silly as hell. It just doesn't compute. And the reason this movie was the perfect example to show me the light on this was because Spielberg is that good. And the cast is that great. And the performances are that great. And literally everything about this film is that perfect. And yet, here I am from the very opening moments of this movie, going through the motions because the scenes like this, I just can't take it. It just takes me out. Now, I want to be clear about this. I'm not saying that movie musicals aren't ever good because of this. And here's where Tick, Tick, Boom and my viewing of this film immediately after West Side Story cemented this thinking for me.
I thought, hey, what a way to spend a day. Hey, what a way to spend a day.
Tick, Tick, Boom's approach to the musical format is different than West Side. West Side Story uses the music and the singing and the dancing as an organic part of what is going on. Like it's accepted that these people are singing to each other.
You're never alone.
You're never disconnected.
And it's okay. It's just normal. Like this is how people communicate all the time.
When company's expected,
You're well protected.
Whereas Tick, Tick, Boom, all the singing and dancing and whatnot is all taking place either when it's actually appropriate to be doing so, like in a rehearsal or karaoke or a performance or a party that's going on where people are getting rowdy and starting to sing and dance.
Cages or wings, which do you prefer? Ask the birds. Fear or love, baby, don't say the answer.
Or it's taking place in the head of the character who's singing it, and it's clearly shown that way.
Me and you. I have to laugh. We sure put on a show.
So it's never happening in real life discussion like between two people, right? It's more like real life. People are talking. And then if there's singing going on and there's a conversation happening, you get my drift, right? So like I hear songs in my head all damn day, but I don't sing my dialogue at people. Well, I do, but they look at me weird, like, why are you singing at me? So I started thinking about all the movie musicals I've seen in my life, and I realized that this theory almost always holds true. All the live action movie musicals that I think are great, like they really work really well, pretty much hold to this form. Tick, Tick, Boom and Chicago are the two most recent ones that I can think of that stick the landing on this.
she knew that she was doing wrong.
Then describe it
He came toward me
with the pistol.
from my bureau
Did you fight him?
like a tiger.
He had strength and she had
And
none.
yet we both reached for the gun.
Now, To be fair, this isn't a hard and fast rule either, because there are a few movie musicals that don't adhere to this exact thought process and I still think are wonderful and great movies, like Little Shop of Horrors or Hairspray or Grease.
You better shape up, 'cause I need a man. And my heart is set on you.
But like, they're meant to be like campy or loose reality or something of that nature. Or they're simply just f***ing outlandish, like Rocky Horror Picture Show. They're effective and good movies, and they happen to be musicals. It also seems that everything that was pre-1970 movie musicals were like a huge industry and were executed really well. But that could also be because most of those movies were presented as if they were on stage. Like, I think they were filmed as they were on stage. I think it was the way that it was done, but I'm inclined to believe that it's mostly just an era thing with those movies, the pre-1970s movies.
Rainbows are shining. Good morning.
Good morning.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
So, in conclusion, movie musicals suck. Not all of them, just the majority of them. Some of them are very good. Anyway, those are my thoughts on why movie musicals don't work on the big screen. What do you think about them? Leave it in the comments. Tell me what movie musicals you love, which ones you don't love, whether you think they're silly, whether you like them or not, and tell me if you think I'm ridiculous. Also, like and subscribe, please, because apparently that helps me in the grand lexicon of algorithm land. Maybe that'll get me up there, and maybe more people can weigh in on this and tell me how ridiculous I am for thinking movie musicals don't work on the big screen. Also, you can follow me on my social media places, at VideosBeard on Twitter, Redbeard Videos on Facebook, at Redbeard Videos on TikTok. And as always, thank you so much for being here with me, as I so much enjoy being here with you. And until next time, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.